and welcome to another Saturday Night Biddle. How's everybody doing?
Doing
fine.
Good.
Well,
Over here.
Awesome.
I mean, it's not like we had any issues trying to get started or anything like that, so
Nope.
Yeah.
we're good.
So good.
Never. No.
So good.
Hey, can we get a verification from chat that we're sounding okay? Anybody? Come on.
Testing chat. 1, 2, 3. Testing chat.
You got like that 20-second delay.
It
It'll
sounds
take a
good.
minute.
All right.
There we go.
Silent Robot, what are you not doing? What are you doing not in here, dude? All right. This week's challenge was either Fedora 29 or a CLI distribution.
Oh, that's right. We did the command line one.
Who tried the CLI?
I did both.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's start with that.
Cool.
Climby, lead it off, man.
All right. So I tried out NixOS because I'd never used it before. Download the minimal installer. It's got a really interesting installer because once you boot into it, you basically have to define a script that sets things like the grub setup, whether you're doing EFI or MBR, what hard drive it's going to go to, your language options, the default packages you want to install, the user, like everything set up inside of a script, and then NixOS kind of builds itself based off of that script. And it was interesting. The package management, I didn't run into any issues just using command line applications on not being able to find packages. Everything seemed to run good. And I did get my printer set up after messing with it for a while. But yeah, basically just using the Lynx browser and Nano for text editing. And yeah, it was it went pretty well.
So what you're saying is it went better than elementary for you.
Yes.
We're still on that.
All right. Christopher, you did the CLI as well?
Yeah, one of the. I actually tried because just for everyone knowing, in the chat, I'm the guy with the NixOS flower as the. So I'm using it as my daily driver, and what he says is true in my experience. Although now I've run into issues which I might get into later. So one thing I tried, and unfortunately it didn't go, is that I tried Wix OSD. I forget how you pronounce it, which is basically like Nix, except it's approved by the SFS, so everything's free and wonderful. This is all on virtual machine, which might have been a problem. And it also I think configures itself with using Lisp instead of the Nix language, which might be a plus or a positive for some people. Anyway, tried it. Didn't quite work. I think the way it works is that if you specify, like NixOS, you specify what you want to build, and I think what it does is it goes and looks at some kind of cache and says, has somebody built this before? Yes, I'll pull it in. And I think what happened is those packages weren't built, so it decided to try and build it itself, just compile everything, and that did not go well. Like it took an hour before it said, "Oh, we can't do this." So, yeah, that wasn't great.
Well, CLI installs and running them are not for me. I can say that. So that's why I installed Fedora. But let's move on to Fedora because I think a lot of people tried it.
We forgot about Dave.
Huh?
We forgot about Dave.
Dave, did you do CLI too?
I did both.
Oh,
well,
well,
I tried to do both. I had a lot better results with the CLI.
Ooh,
wow. Okay, let's talk, Dave.
Well, the CLI was easy for me because Arco Linux, the D distribution of it, just installs to your system and leaves you at a command prompt and expects you to pull a bunch of scripts down from GitHub to finish installing the system, but it gives you a good base system. So I just threw that on a hard drive and went into that and had no problem, browsing. The only issue was a lot of my emails tend to be image intensive, which you lose in command line. But can I survive in CLI? Yes, not a problem. Would I enjoy it? Not the way I can use a computer now. So it's still where I go every time I have a problem, just because that's where I know where to find and fix stuff. So I'm comfortable there, even if it's browsing the web or, if I have to, checking email. But for general everyday use, it's just not fun. It's usable, but not fun.
Right.
Fedora, on the other hand, I'm assuming it's my NVIDIA card, but it would install very nicely. It would reboot. I would get the splash screen. Then it would drop down into a console and never get to a point where it actually boots up the first time. So I never was able to get a user in. So I was never, even if I hit Control-Alt-F4 to drop to a terminal, I couldn't log in because no user was set up, no root was set up, no passwords were set up. At the Milwaukee Linux user group this afternoon, I did get one suggestion to try, which is to, instead of booting to multi-user, boot to single user that first time, to see if that can get me into a command prompt without needing a password. But other than that, I'm basically at the point of Zeb going, yep, next.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I feel about it, but we'll get everybody else's opinion. Dan, what was your opinion on Fedora?
Okay, so yeah, it was an interesting week. I didn't do the GNOME version. I did the LXQT community spin, and it's not a whole lot of theming there, and I think I may have finally stumbled onto the reason why. I actually came into a bug, and so I got onto the IRC to try to figure out best way to report that, because it's a community spin, so you wouldn't think that you would go to Fedora directly for that, but it appears that the best way is to actually submit bugs through Bugzilla, on Red Hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have known that, right?
Right.
So it turns out, though, that it seems like the community guys don't have as much control over things that you would think in their spin, or so it seems. So that so it's very vanilla. So it's like they can't add in packages, maybe. So they're just pulling in, whatever's coming down from the desktop environment, probably, without any modification. Because you don't see any Fedora theming. Well, you see a little bit, but not really very much. It's pretty plain. So other than that, though, I mean, I guess it works okay. One thing I did notice is they didn't have a compositor at all. So it was just, straight up
Wow.
regular desktop environment, no compositing.
So did you get any answer on the bug or no?
Yeah, they put it through and they moved it over, but I mean, it's still, it's probably going to sit for a little bit, probably before somebody else sees it, I would imagine. The guys that were in the IRC were super helpful. And we worked through it a little bit. So, I mean, that was good. It wasn't a terrible experience, but it was just a little weird.
Right. Okay. All right, Joe.
Well, like I showed you before, I'll show it to the audience now. That's Fedora 29, obviously, the GNOME, which normally I'm not against. I'm just normally it's not my workflow, but I will say on this particular laptop, it's been running seamlessly. The one thing I noticed putting it on real hardware, even as opposed to a VirtualBox, first I just wanted to kind of get a feel for what it would be. seemed sluggish trying to load it and install it. And I noticed even putting it on here, it was better, but it still had, to me, like a sluggish feel when you were installing. But other than that, once I got it installed, the updates that it called for, I didn't live in it every day, but I played with it on and off this week, and you know, browsing everything. I mean, everything seems to work seamlessly. Even the touch screen, because this is a touch screen on here, and compared to just regular Ubuntu GNOME or GNOME, it seemed like it was glitchy when you'd want to bring up the tabs windows or whatever, and this has been very, very seamless. I mean, the touchscreen has been working really well. It's been working excellent. That's about all I can say. I'm very happy with it, to the point where I could live with this every day on this particular system if I wanted to.
Right. Well, what I found with Fedora was that, yeah, I could live with it every day if I wanted to, as far as, if I'm just going to do web browsing, if I'm just going to do, the occasional thing here and there. But, and I got to admit, I did not try it on the main machine because I had installed Fedora before, and it kind of messed with my partitions and left partitions laying around in my drives. So I did install on the laptop. I did install the GNOME version, and it's a very polished GNOME version. So, I mean, it's really nice, but like I said, if I'm going to get into certain things like video recording, and I don't know if that would be my first choice.
And see, in fairness, for stuff like this, for us as the average user, if you're looking for an average user experience, I think this is fantastic, and you are right about being polished. I can't give it a fair test like you're talking about for your recording and all that type of thing, because that's not what I do. And, so I didn't put it through those kind of paces to tell, and this laptop probably would be the best thing to use it on anyway. So, but I think if somebody wanted to just try, a GNOME-based system and something that worked well and clean, and I'm very pleasantly surprised because I haven't had that experience in the past with it. It's been a while. So.
Awesome. All right, we can't have a Fedora conversation without Wendy. Wendy, what's going on with Fedora?
I used to be such a Fedora fangirl, and I'm finding it harder and harder to like Fedora. And it's not actually Fedora's fault, because a lot of the software I used is based on third-party repositories. And everything was going great until I went to install Rapid Photo Downloader, which is what I use to pull all of the pictures off my SD drives. It helps me keep organized. It is a key piece of software for me. And during Fedora 28, there were missing dependencies. And in Fedora 29, there are still missing dependencies. And so that was the end for me, that I couldn't go any further without that piece of software, and I didn't want to fight with it. I was done.
Wow. The great Fedora falls.
It's amazing how much Ubuntu and Ubuntu derivatives anymore, they have absolutely everything I need, and I don't have to fuss with fighting to get the software I need to use.
I think that's a big thing, though, because, we do this every week, and, we say, hey, we could run this, we could run this, we could run that. We could pretty much run anything or everything, but it's just, how easy is it to do this stuff? Like, we could even do 1 week an Arch install, and I guarantee you that probably most of us could get it installed. No, I'm serious.
Yeah. No, that's what's on all my systems. So,
So what I'm saying is we could do that, but the way it is today with Ubuntu and everything else, it is so easy to do it. Yeah. Why do you need to fuss with the harder distributions when you can get everything you need out of something you like?
Right, and it takes me so long anyways to get all of my screens calibrated that I don't want to spend the extra time trying to get the software installed.
Yep.
That's fair.
All right, Colin, you're up.
I've installed it, and I did run it, I don't know how long ago, maybe more than a year ago or something, but some of the issues I had, whereas you had to add sudo to the wheel the user's sudoer, I think it is, to the wheel. Don't have to do that anymore. It's in by default. That's a good thing. I find that most packages are working under Wayland without an issue. They're opening up. They're doing whatever. I think Synaptic was one that never used to work, I think, but that's all. No, not Synaptic in this one because, but that was all working pretty well. And the only thing is with the live disk, I found it hard. I wanted to do a video on the install because I did install it in amongst my laptop that's got many partitions. I just could not get repos to do anything on the live disk. So that was difficult. So I had to just, couldn't film, I couldn't record the install. But everything seems to be running pretty well anyway, so I've had no issues.
I missed it, Colin. Which version did you say you were running?
29.
No, I mean desktop environment.
The GNOME, yeah, I don't think I mentioned that. So it seems to work all right. I like their implementation of the GNOME desktop anyway. It looks pretty good out of the box. I did change it up a little bit with dconf. I didn't install any extensions, just changed up anything I needed to do in dconf. And the other thing I did do was, if I can just have a quick look here, I added, what was it? Just give me a minute. I added the RPM Fusion support to the Software Center, which was a couple of little commands that you had to run. So all the RPM Fusion applications show up in the Software Center. So that's one thing I did there. So and then you got all the selections of everything within the Software Center from RPM Fusion. So, but it's running right. The only thing today I noticed when I got onto Zoom that I had to select my internal microphone rather than the Yeti. On everything else I used, you check the Yeti, and the sound is controlled by the settings, not Zoom. I couldn't get the Zoom sound to be controlled under Zoom. It had to be with the Fedora settings. So that was a bit odd compared to other distros. So that's my experience.
No major problems, though.
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, Thomas, did you get to try it?
I got Fedora installed, but I've been busy this week, so that's about as far as I got.
Okay. Any issues on the install?
It was really slow, and I didn't appreciate the constant ads at the very bottom, but they're open source. They're ads for open source software, so I guess it's not a huge deal. But other than
that, you got the right ISO?
Yes, I'm fairly certain I got the right ISO but it kept advertising things like, you know, LibreOffice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're not particularly ads, though. They're more or less like it's similar to what you'd see in a distro slideshow as it's installing. It's not really an ad.
Yeah, you got a good point there. It's just
what was it showing? Because I don't remember seeing anything like that.
I don't remember that.
Across the bottom.
Yeah, it was like a
banner
like ad across the bottom.
The hot dog banner.
Yeah, I remember the little hot dog guy. Yep, he sticks right out.
It's below the progress bar in the installer when it's installing.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to that, I don't think.
But,
all right, Derek, you said that you tried it.
No, I didn't try Fedora.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you're killing me, dude.
No,
it's all good.
I'm not a fan of Fedora or GNOME, so I wouldn't have tried that mess anyway.
Well, you didn't have to try GNOME. You could have tried any Fedora. Could have tried KDE version.
Did they do XFCE? I might have tried.
Yeah,
that one. Okay.
They have it.
I'll get back to you later in the week.
Okay, you get back to us. Adam, did you get to try it?
I did. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think as far as GNOME goes, it's probably like the cleanest GNOME that I've used, except for maybe like Arch or something. But the Software Center, you know, works really well with the package manager and installing Flatpaks and other things. So I think it's probably the best GNOME experience in my book, but that's just, you know, personal preference. The only issues I had were with scaling and everything, which is, you know, brought on by my new monitor. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I hear you got a new monitor, man.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What'd you get?
It's an LG like 4K monitor, but I have a 1080p second monitor, so the mixed DPI kind of doesn't work. But it's pretty good. But as far as Fedora goes, I mean, I've used Fedora a lot in my time in Linux, so I'm kind of used to it. I don't know. I kind of forgive its little things, but I guess other people may not.
Now, do you have any issues when running NVIDIA on Fedora?
No, actually, I was able to use the software center, so you can enable the third-party software libraries, and they have an NVIDIA one, and all you have to do is just enable that and go into the software center and click install on NVIDIA, and I think it was like 41066 or something was the driver that I was using, and it ran just fine, no problems.
Nice. All right, Tyler?
I tortured my poor little netbook with the Cinnamon Edition, and I initially, after install, ran into an issue where I couldn't sign in.
Why?
I then found out that it was a result of SE Linux not liking the separate home partition, and I had to run a command to make it happy.
Wow.
So after that and a little bit of playing around, I did notice that it ran slower than the LMDE Cinnamon that we ran about a couple months ago. Then earlier today, I tried it on the Galago, and in the process, made a mistake and screwed up my EFI setup. So I had to repair that to get to boot back into Kubuntu.
So you had a really good time with Fedora.
Loads.
Can we go back to Adam just for a second? He was saying that Fedora was the best GNOME experience he's had. Is it because they just do like a vanilla kind of plain GNOME? You prefer that rather than having something customized with a lot of extensions?
Yeah, I guess I just prefer the vanilla GNOME feel. I don't mind the icons of the theme or anything. I'm not really one to like theme or I change icons or anything. I just take whatever they give me.
Right.
And it's just the integration with the OS, like with the software center and things that you can install extensions through the software center and all. Like it's just a nice cohesive experience.
Polished.
That's fair.
All right, Rocket. Did you try Fedora or did you do a CLI?
No, I actually took a 0 on the CLI. I definitely did a normal install. But of course, Murphy followed me all week this week, so I have had 3 Hanger Queen machines laying in the closet, and attempted to pull them out and install. Burned up the first one, the PSU fried. Second one, the GPU fried. And then the third one, which was the Sirius Hanger Queen, I had to take parts from the other 2 to put it together. Went to install it, and the motherboard fried on that one. So
yeah,
I got
I'm not trying Fedora 29 then.
Wow.
The
The desktop killer.
Honestly, I don't think it was because of the live USB that I stuck in there. And it's just old machinery that finally died when I wanted to do something. So consequently, I took it over to the VM and installed it on a VM. I don't like to test that way because I just don't get the full functionality of the VM like I do if I was doing it on a fresh machine. But that being said, I did like how quickly it did install, and then some of the stuff is attributed to the VM. So normally, once I've installed it as a VM and I install it and start running it, the ISO is automatically released. Problem is, this one didn't automatically release, and every time I shut the VM down and started back up, it started back up in the live session. It wouldn't disconnect or wouldn't release from that, so I had to manually do that. Once that was done, it was looking pretty good. Now, I'm not a fan of Unity or anything like that, and I don't like the full screen splay of the activities where all the software is at that you can use. I like mine all confined in a nice, neat list where I can launch whatever I want. I don't want to have to look all over the screen for it. I liked the layout. I liked how easy it was to use. I've never tried Fedora before. I think it's great for a first timer. It actually recognized my printer and then hassled me for more dependencies that couldn't be found and couldn't be loaded for the brother printers. So I didn't want to go that route. It connected. I'm sure if I was not in a VM, it probably would have worked properly that way. So just as a test, I popped over to YouTube, load up some videos, and right off the bat, no H.264 codec support. So immediately had to go hunting down the H.264 codecs, got that installed, and then it needed additional dependencies that wouldn't allow for standard MPEG-4 ACC files to run properly. So all these little things like that, I expected would probably be part of the initial set of software. You know, a variety of codecs would have been part of the package to start with, and it wasn't. I had to go hunt down a lot of stuff to get it to work, but otherwise it worked, pretty good.
Okay. Well, you said about the first-time user. The only thing I don't know if I wouldn't personally recommend it for a first-time user, specifically with the installer. There's a few places where you got to go in and out for the partitions and stuff like that I don't know if a first-time user could do. But I guess once you get it installed, it would be fine.
I used all of the default settings. So as far as that goes, as far as being hands-off, first time somebody trying it, just as, I don't know, as a goof, I don't know, if they used all the default settings, it actually went in pretty well hands-off.
Right. Yeah, I think that's true if you don't have anything installed. If you've got another operating system installed on there, it's a little trickier.
But isn't that going to be true for all the installers? Like if you have to do manual partitioning, I mean, there's no way around that as far as
for sure.
Nah,
if you just want to wipe it out though, if you just want to wipe it out though, you can't do that with the Anaconda very easily. You have to tell it you want to do that.
The other thing is it defaults to Wayland, doesn't it? So anybody with an NVIDIA card is automatically going to have issues to install.
Yeah, until NVIDIA gets on board with Wayland, that's probably always going to be the issue. I, for instance, an AMD user, didn't have issue 1 to start with.
Team Red.
Team Red. Rocket mentioned that. He's right about that. I forgot about that with the browsers because by default Chrome would play just fine, but if you tried to use Chromium or Firefox, it was missing those codecs.
Yep.
What is Team Red? That would be convenience over quality.
Yes.
Well, there
yes,
you go.
Exactly, Dave.
Did I share a missile land somewhere?
I'll be honest, I have never had an issue with Wayland on my NVIDIA graphics card. In fact, it's basically my fail-safe because even when I get in a login loop, because of Xorg and graphics driver issues, I can just go to Wayland and I can log in every single time.
You're the first person on the planet that I've ever heard say that they want to run Wayland and NVIDIA.
Now,
I'm just saying.
I will say it does decrease my performance significantly.
Right. I was about to say the same thing. There's no way it's performing as well as Xorg.
Oh no, definitely not.
Okay.
Like in CS:GO, for instance, I can typically get 100 to 120 FPS on about medium settings across the board.
What drivers are you using in Wayland?
That's using the 410 drivers in Wayland. Well, that's not doing Wayland. That's with Xorg. As soon as I go to Wayland, doing all of that, my FPS drops from that 120 mark down to about 25. About 25.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big jump.
drop.
That's a big drop. Big.
So it's good if you're needing to fix something, but bad for gaming.
I would say 25 is pretty bad for gaming. Well, I guess it depends. But all right, could Carl, you the man, Fedora?
Yeah, I did the CLI. I lived in a CLI for 2 days. That was the worst. Where is Popey, by the way? I want to yell at him.
Fedora Core 1.
Yeah, I installed it on an old 32-bit laptop. In fact, I installed Fedora 29 with no in CLI on a 32-bit laptop.
What?
And it was awful. I mean, it ran fine, but I couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work for like 2 days, and finally I just gave up. And I've been running Fedora 29 for like almost 3 weeks now, and it's been fine. I have a NVIDIA card right now. I have a GTX 950, and I installed the drivers. I've been running Wayland. It's been fine. I haven't gamed on it at all though. I don't know. And GNOME is like way less crashy than it used to be. I've been on KDE for like the last year, and GNOME's been fine. It's still resource heavy, but it hasn't crashed. Everything runs right, and all my
But you
graphics
expect
stuff
that,
works.
and that's why you have the resources, because you can.
Right. Exactly.
Well, the only reason that I don't run GNOME now is because of gaming issues with GNOME. So,
right.
All right, Kim.
Yep.
Did you try Fedora 29?
Oh yes, I did. I installed it on my laptop for a couple of days, but I found that I couldn't find I couldn't install a program that I need for my work as a VPN API called PulseSecure. So I finally decided to instead go with Arch because I know it works on Arch. So I installed Arch on my laptop instead.
Good
but
choice.
I found that, like Adam, I really like the polished GNOME. I think it's very nice compared to other distros. And I think it's actually pretty.
Yep.
So that's my opinion.
Nice. All right, Gideon, did you try Fedora?
No, I lived in CLI for about 3, maybe 4 days before
Wow.
I abandoned it.
Still it wouldn't have taken me that long. So what was the experience like?
It was okay. I found a lot of really cool applications to substitute for everyday things like Mutt, offline IMAP. I used, I think it was Toot for Mastodon, Telegram CLI for Telegram, and eLinks as my browser, which is not very good. I did it all in TTY, and one of the browsers I tried was Brush, but that depends on mouse support, and I found something, I think it's called GPM. Yeah, GPM, General Purpose Mouse. It's a daemon that lets you have a cursor in a console. Well, I can't use that with my touchpad, so that was out. Overall, it wasn't bad, but you need a GUI for a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, again, we go back to yes, you could if you had to live in a CLI, but you don't need to anymore. So
no.
Well, other than video, I mean, pretty much everything else you can do. It's just you can't watch video in the CLI.
Yeah, but like Dave said about the pictures and the email and stuff like that. So like there's certain
most email
things
comes to us HTML nowadays.
Yeah,
like, I don't think a photographer like Wendy could live in the CLI.
No. Nope, that's not me. No.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't even try it. I didn't even go there.
Wait. What's wrong with ASCII art?
All right, Paul, did you try Fedora?
I did, and I'm not a fan of the GNOME either. And I didn't know you could install other, like KDE and XSC and all that. So
Right.
I didn't use it much at all.
Well, there's some people that are not fans of GNOME, but it's it's a preference. So
Maybe I'll go back and try a different desktop.
what is your favorite desktop, Paul?
KDE Plasma.
Oh, well, they got a decent version of KDE,
Yeah,
so
they
you
do.
might enjoy that.
Okay.
All right, Allie made it.
All right, Allie.
Allie, you got audio?
I have audio. You might hear
Yes.
the TV in the background because people here are watching it. Anyway, I did do the CLI for the challenge, And no excuses to Wendy for not using CLI because she could have used the AA libs. No. Made her graphicals out of AA lib. Anyway, yeah. I'm good with my dark table and GIMP, yeah. It's always just reading from. But I had no problem with the CLI. Soon downloaded e-links and so on. I was browsing. You can even watch YouTube videos in it. It was absolutely fine. I had no problems whatsoever, actually. But I did have to stop when I come over here because it was on my other laptop. So I just stopped using the CLI. So I've been using GUI for the last 4 days or something.
I don't think you would have
I
had
use
much luck with
barcode,
Zoom,
you see.
Ali.
Huh?
I don't think you would have had much luck with Zoom on CLI.
That would have been a tad difficult, Rocco, to be honest. You know, that would have been a tad difficult with Zoom.
Well, you switch to your phone for Zoom if you got it.
Yeah, that's true. I could have done that, Derek. You're quite right there. Actually, I do need to download Zoom on my phone. I didn't think of doing that. But yeah, I went all right as it happens. Enjoyed it.
All right, Chicken left right before we got to him. What's going on with that?
Yeah, he's
It's killing me.
Oh, I don't know.
Silent.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Did you happen to try Fedora?
Well, no, I missed last week's due to work commitments, but I do run Arch i3 anyway, so I just disabled the desktop and used CLI apps that way. I used W3M web browser in there, e-links, things like that.
Is that something you could live with?
No. No, I need a GUI for what I do. I mean, I'm comfortable in the CLI, and I use it for troubleshooting and things like that anyway. But to use it as a daily in that way, no. No, I don't think so. It's useful,
All right.
but no, not as a daily driver like that.
So the moral of the story here is we could use anything, but it's nice to have the ones we prefer.
Yeah.
Nice to have the choice.
Yes.
Absolutely. I also installed Fedora, and my thoughts on it are it's okay as long as you don't use the GNOME desktop. It's just very sluggish. Two things I liked about the installer is I think the installer will it doesn't allow you to use a dictionary word for a password. That seems like a good idea to me. Among other features, like I think it won't accept if it's all lowercase. It won't accept that. That's probably a good idea.
You say that's a good feature. That's actually one of the things I hate about their installer is it won't let you just choose any crazy password, something short and simple. I understand they're doing it for safety reasons, but
yeah, you can.
It lets you do it.
Yeah, you can do it.
It forces you to hit the button twice.
Yeah, that's right. You have to hit that button at the top twice, and then it'll.
Yeah, I think, and also I think it, at least not the Spinners edition, but the Spins they don't do this, but I think the regular one you can choose what packages you want to install with it. That's also pretty nice. I think like text editors or like certain like Steam and gaming stuff. I think that's okay. One weird thing is I ran this in VirtualBox, and I found it couldn't install the guest edition that could allow you to share folders. Like every other distro I tried, it does that pretty well, but Fedora doesn't. I think from what I've read, it's because the other two, they're in the kernel or something, whereas you have to do stuff before. You have to add it. I tried adding it with suggestions on the website, never got it to work. So that kind of soured me on the whole thing. But yeah, truth be told, I never tried GNOME before this, and I only did it because I watched a video that said, "Hey, GNOME's better. They improved it," and then I tried it, and the critics are still right. It's not a very good experience.
To be
I guess. Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
The only distribution that I've ever known GNOME to be a pleasure is in Pop OS. Whatever system 76 are doing under the hood, it makes GNOME a pleasure.
I will agree that Pop OS is really nice. Really, really nice.
They're doing some really, really good optimization under the hood there.
Yes, they are.
I've got a lot to speak about on Fedora and GNOME, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
So, first of all, I tried to install the ones that they have when you enable proprietary software sources, which they add a portion of the RPM Fusion repos. They don't add all of them. Right. But when I tried those drivers, nothing worked. Just black screen right out of the box. So I went back, and last time I had good luck with the Negativo repo NVIDIA drivers. But this time I just wanted to install, because at this point I'm used to just going to NVIDIA's website and downloading their binary driver straight from the website. So I did that, and what I found was when I got to GDM to log in, and I typed in my password, you go in, and then it's just a black screen. So I tried installing a new display manager, and so I installed SDDM, switched over to that, and from SDDM I was actually able to log in. So I thought it was a bug with GDM, and I also found that if you're not using GDM on GNOME, you get a lot of weird side effects because a lot of things are tied to GTM, like being able to lock the screen, which is something you cannot do without GDM. And so I was actually I was doing some research on this, and I found a Reddit thread where someone had posted a Bugzilla link that had the same issue I was having trying to use the NVIDIA binary drivers and the issues with GDM. And it turns out it's actually an issue with Plymouth that Fedora that they're working on a fix that's in the testing repositories, but there's another way around it too, where if you enable the, if you go into the grub, they enable the RHGB thing, which is basically the full splash screen when it's booting. If you remove that from the grub line, you'll get like the verbose boot, but that will actually allow you to boot in through GDM, which is a little bizarre. But the other thing too is if you're able to get on Wayland through Fedora and you're on an NVIDIA card, you're using the NoView drivers. Because anytime you install the proprietary drivers, NVIDIA disables Wayland by default when you install those drivers. So normally when you would go through the Fedora, the GDM thing, and you go under sessions, you would have the regular GNOME session, you would have GNOME on Xorg, and you would have the GNOME Classic. Well, when you install any NVIDIA proprietary driver, you just get two options. You get GNOME and GNOME Classic. And GNOME is just Xorg GNOME. It's not Wayland GNOME because they completely disable Wayland because NVIDIA proprietary drivers have zero support in Wayland right now. The other and that also that would also explain the big difference Thomas was having in frames per second because if you do boot into Wayland, it will default to the NoView drivers.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Nouveau drivers are bad even with Xorg, much less Wayland. So.
Yeah.
The only good thing about them is they install really quickly. That's the only good thing.
True.
I'm used to vanilla GNOME. I've done it before, but so I was mostly running vanilla GNOME. Although I did install the tweak tool to enable the dark Adwaita theme because I like it a lot better. And I also noticed in the GNOME tweaks that this was something they talked about. I think it was in the release notes or it was somewhere mentioning that when Microsoft opened the Open Invention Network, when they joined the Open Invention Network, they were talking about using the subpixel font rendering because those were part of the open patents that Microsoft released. they are there, but they're not enabled by default. So you actually have to go into GNOME tweaks and enable that. It's under fonts anti-aliasing, because by default it'll use the standard grayscale. But to be honest with you, I enabled the subpixel, and I can't notice a difference between the standard or the subpixel personally. And I also enabled the battery percentage and all the clock stuff because I like doing that GNOME tweaks, but I didn't use any extensions. The other thing was, I had a thing with updates. So this was this morning. I was going to shut down the machine, and of course, when I went to go shut down, I had the thing pop up that Fedora's like, "You have updates pending. Would you like to install these updates before you shut down?" So I said, okay. I just went ahead and checked it, and I went to go shut down. Well, it shut down normally, but then it instead of shutting down the machine, it rebooted the computer and went to attempt to boot Fedora again to install the updates. And it was going through all the updates kind of slowly, but it got to like 97%. Then like I got a thing at the bottom said continuing to install updates, and it was like a cron task, and it had the timer. It was counting up, and 20 minutes, the thing's still going. And so I kept waiting for it. Eventually got to 30, and I'm like, not even most Microsoft updates take this long. So something's going on here.
Yeah, that's not good.
And so I just did a hard shut off and went to go boot it back up, and it booted fine. So I don't know what that was all about, but I've learned a valuable lesson that just do updates the classic way. Whatever they're trying to do to become more like Microsoft, I don't think it's really helping them.
I was going to say, blame it on Windows.
Yeah, there were a lot of updates throughout the week for sure. Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, Ubuntu does the same thing. I shut my Ubuntu down this morning, and it was doing updates as it was shutting down. I was doing the same thing. So is this becoming a new thing now for Linux, is it?
It might be a GNOME thing, because I haven't seen it in any other desktop environment.
I think it is a GNOME thing.
Yeah. All right. So we know which way they're heading, don't we?
Yeah, it's kind of scary because that came up a little while ago, where it was just this, these updates were going and you had no interaction with it at all. It was just going, and yeah, it's kind of like going Microsoft way, but I guess it's not something you have to do yet. Yet.
Yeah, I will say that over on the LXQT spin, they use DNF Gregora, and that's pretty horrible. Don't. Yeah, I just dropped down to the CLI and used that. I mean, it didn't work most of the time. It wouldn't actually install the updates. So I ended up having to do it, through DNF at the command line anyway.
Yeah, I don't like DNF. I don't know. I can't. It feels like everything it does is a bit heavier than what apt would do, and I don't really like that. Apt feels much more nimble.
Sure.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to mention was, as far as media codecs go, you need to go to the RPM Fusion website. They have a guide on Fedora 29, but you need to add that repo, and then they have a guide on how to install all the multimedia codecs, the GStreamer stuff that you need. All that stuff's there, but you really do need the RPM Fusion codecs to get anything out of Fedora, I think.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, was this the version that Yum was taken out, or is it still in there and just not used?
No, it's been gone for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it was still in there in 28. They didn't use it.
Right. I believe it is still there. Just they
Yeah, I seen Yum come up in some updates. There was Yum mentioned in the command line. Yeah, it's still there. I seen
just
Yum.
all their documentation says it's being deprecated, and they say don't use it. Use DNF instead.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like they might actually have Yum aliased to DNF.
Yep, it could be an A for those commands.
Yeah.
Because when I typed in Yum, it said usage DNF options command, and then it gave me the option. So I think they do have it aliased.
All right. So that's our Fedora CLI challenge for this week. Shall we pick another one for next week? A different one? Something else? Anybody got any suggestions?
I actually took a look to see where Deep In was at. They're up to version 15.7 or 8.
Yeah, they've had just another one.
I'm just kind of curious as to how that's developing, so I'd be interested in that if anybody else was.
I was going to say Pop OS.
See, now Pop OS, you're making me want to try it again.
Pop OS, I think, would be fun.
Pop OS, because the Milwaukee Linux users group met today, and the guy who was doing the presentation had a System 76 laptop. And I asked him how he liked Pop OS, and he said he loved it.
Yeah, they do a lot of customizing, not just the look and feel of it, but different things, like adding their software center is different than the GNOME Software Center.
Pop OS now.
Don't they use Elementary Software Center?
Yep.
Yeah.
And how's it going, Kim?
It's going well, and I think one of the cute things about the Pop OS is that it's by default doing what is called I forgot the word, but it's very nice. It's very polished. So when you install it, and you have, for instance, you have NVIDIA card on it, it's very easy to install because it's the distro is by default with NVIDIA, one of the versions. And encryption. That's the word I was looking for. It's encrypted by default, so that's very nice.
Barking suggested Ubuntu Budgie, but I just had a thought, Rocco. What if we took a suggestion from the chat?
That's very dangerous, Rocket. I mean, look, Terry Love said. Wait, Terry Love said we should try Emacs with. What did he say? Yeah, we should try live in Emacs on a distro of their choice. That's very dangerous to give it to the audience. So,
Barking also
FreeBSD just had a beta, so
FreeBSD.
Yeah.
Barking also suggested.
It's a real challenge. Somebody suggested where I was listening something called Clover OS.
I've used it. It's actually pretty easy to install. It's Gentoo based, but it's a dead simple, like 10-minute install.
Yeah, it's bad enough that we let Popey in here and make suggestions.
Barking also suggested Solus KDE. That's another one that might be a thought.
If you guys want to do something KDE, Neptune just had a release this week that uses Plasma, Ubuntu based.
Sparky Linux?
Sparky Linux, yeah, also had a release.
Sparky Linux is fun. It's big, but it's fun.
All right, well, there's many out there.
There's Oracle Linux had an update.
Yeah, but we're not going to do Oracle.
You can try a quick install of Windows 10.
We could do Linux.
I can just
I'd be up for Windows
to my dual boot.
How about React OS? How about that? They just had a release thing.
Yeah, they just had an update.
Yeah.
Hey, wow.
I would be up for that one too.
You certainly have some reactions from that one. Try installing anything on it.
Yeah. But that's part of the fun.
Yeah, that's part of why we do it.
There's a difference between fun and React OS.
This is true.
None of us are here because this is easy. I mean, that's not why we're here.
That's right.
You certainly enjoy the punishment, don't you?
All right, well, there's many out there, so we have to choose one. So let's narrow it down.
Debian proper actually just had a
9.5, yeah.
No,
9.6.
Came out today.
Yeah. Yeah, Debian, I was doing Debian a couple of weeks ago, and their repos were just giving me nothing but problems on Debian. I couldn't get them working for some reason. I don't know if it's me or just it was driving me nuts. I don't know.
Regular, or were you into the SID?
It's Debian stable, and the repos were just having errors all the time. I don't know whether their site was down or
just been the mirrors were not working or something. Yeah.
And I think I tried it in a couple of days and still the same thing. And I just thought, I had enough of this because I don't mind. running Debian. I wouldn't mind trying to run Debian stable, just the Debian vanilla out of the box sort of thing, and see how it goes, because it's its own base, so it'd be quite fast and native. So, but always I have problems.
Does Debian have a command like they have in Arch? The Arch command is a mirror command that lets you hunt down whatever mirrors are
Rank
close.
the fastest mirrors? I don't believe so. I've never seen one in it.
Yeah, not sure. I'm not really sure about that. But they do have a Debian what is it? A Deb generation website where you can put in if you want Spotify or this and that, and it actually gives you a list of the sources.list. You just copy the whole thing into your sources.list, and it makes the repos for you. It's quite a handy website. So I used that, and it was I got it working the first time. Then for some reason I went back in and I did a different install, and nothing was working. So I don't know. Maybe it's my Achilles heel, Debian. I don't know.
Has anybody tried Ultimate in a long time?
Ultimate, nobody
No,
likes
but
that.
I downloaded them this morning. Because
I tried Ultimate Edition like a few weeks ago.
6.0 GNOME, was it? Got released today or recently?
There is a CLI app for Debian called NetSelect-apt that will let you rank mirrors.
I haven't heard many good things about Ultimate, to be honest.
All right,
6.0 GNOME for Ultimate just came out.
Let's narrow it down to 3 and then pick one. Okay. So Pop OS, Neptune, and what were the other? Deepin.
Not Deepin yet.
So out of the 3, which would you guys rather do? I would vote for
Deepin's a little bit balked at the moment. They're working on a fix for a few issues people are having. If you install it into a VM, you'll have flashing icons on the
The Deepin desktop environment doesn't work in a VM really at all. It's hard to get that working in a VM. You'd have to try it with hardware.
Yeah,
they do recommend Neptune video DT.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Didn't you do a Neptune video?
It's been a while. I didn't do one on this recent release that was just released this week, but I have looked at Neptune a few months back on the previous release.
What's Neptune based on? Sorry, what's Neptune based
Ubuntu.
on?
It's Ubuntu with Plasma.
Okay.
Oh.
With Plasma.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we're going to leave Deepin out, because we do have a lot of people that do VMs, so that would kind of, especially right now with the issues, it might cut out a lot of people from trying it. So if we were to do it, it wouldn't be real good. So either Neptune or Pop OS.
Pop caters for both camps out of the box. You can download 2 separate ISOs, NVIDIA based and other based.
That's correct.
I would vote for Pop OS.
Yeah, I'd go for Pop OS.
Get behind Pop OS.
It was Spatry and Ghost 67 that put out Neptune OS videos in the past couple of days.
Oh, let's see those.
Pop OS, I've never tried it, so.
Yeah.
All right, we can do that. Just beware that it does, if you don't install it right, it does, take over your grub.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. Also, everybody here just got through complaining about GNOME and Fedora, and now you guys want to go to Pop OS. I'm just warning you. But
it's a different experience, Derek.
I'm the only
I want to see if they make it good.
I think you'll be
Fresh in our
pleasantly
mind.
surprised, Derek.
I've tried Pop OS in the past. It's not bad. I'll take a look at it.
Fedora GNOME is a
They've done some
polished.
good updates recently.
Yeah.
We're just looking for a nest that GNOME can fall into and actually be wonderful.
Well,
We already have that.
Pop
Antergos.
OS may be the one.
Fedora GNOME is vanilla GNOME, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
That's a good point Rocco raises. If anyone's on UEFI, you do need to make a separate FAT32 boot file. Otherwise, you'll have nothing but problems.
Yeah. So if you're going to install it on real hardware, just make sure you have a separate
separate drive or a separate machine if you have a separate machine. Yeah.
I just realized I spent the entire time voting for Neptune while muted.
Tyler, we didn't hear a vote for Neptune. I'm sorry.
And here all this time I thought he was just being good.
Jumping up and down, can't say.
well,
That's funny.
I tried to do Neptune, but nobody else is a Plasma fan. They're all GNOME fanboys. So.
I'm a Plasma fan sometimes.
Plasma fan.
I'm telling you, dude.
Definitely a Plasma fan.
I'm on Plasma right now.
I like my gnome.
I went to KD. How many weeks? It was at least three or four weeks. I was on KD Neon, and I was loving it, and everything was running fine until it wasn't. And then it wasn't running fine anymore, and that's exactly my issues with KDE is it runs fine and it runs great, and then all of a sudden, boom, something happens and everything starts going wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to pull a Michael here and say that was probably KDE Neon, and you would have been better on Kubuntu.
Kubuntu, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I hear it all the time. But actually, I had better less issues with Neon than I did with Kubuntu. And I mean that as far as, I eventually had issues with Neon. But starting out, I had less issues overall. The issues start earlier for me with Kubuntu.
So I recently made the jump from Neon to Kubuntu because I started having dependency issues with certain applications that were expecting Qt 595. And Neon had a newer version of Qt installed from the Neon repos, and I wasn't liking that. So ultimately, I made the decision to go to Kubuntu 18.10.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense to me if you're going to be on something like Neon, which updates Plasma constantly, keeps it kind of rolling along, but doesn't update the other packages on the system. I mean, why not just run a rolling release if you always want the latest version of Plasma? That makes more sense than what Neon's trying to do.
I figured out how to get OpenCL support through the AMD Pro drivers on Neon. So that's what I'm running right now. So I've got the rolling Plasma and the open source or OpenCL support for faster image processing.
I ended up going with Kubuntu 18.10 and then adding the backports repo for getting the newer Plasma.
Well, the reason, but you're still not getting the latest Plasma, even if you're getting the newer Plasma. And that to me is the reason that you would run Neon is you're getting if you want the latest Plasma on an Ubuntu base, it's the only one out there. I mean, you can run Arch, but
to respond to Derek, I was always told the more moving parts, the more things there are to break down.
Absolutely.
That's why you want the LTS base and just have the Plasma updating.
Tyler, did you say you were on 5.14?
Yes, I am currently on 5.14.3.
On Kubuntu?
On Kubuntu 18.10 with the backports.
On 18.10, okay.
Yeah, I did research before I made the switch. 18.04's backports is not even newer than basically what's shipped on it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you want to stay on 18.04 on the LTS, you can't have the latest Plasma.
And that's the problem with 18.10 right now is I can't get OpenCL support.
Really?
Because the way AMD has made those pro drivers very specific to certain operating systems bases.
Okay.
So Ubuntu, the LTS for Ubuntu gets it. There's a few others.
What's the latest?
5.14.3.
Okay. That's the update that came through yesterday afternoon or this morning in Arch.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing. You can get the latest Plasma on Arch, but if you want to stick to an Ubuntu base, you can't get the latest Plasma unless you stick with Neon. And that's the, I guess, the reason people would run it. The reason I ran it.
So why don't install Arch?
Or Debian SID. We were talking about Debian. Just do the SID branch of Debian.
Okay, so I was going to bring up us installing Arch as the challenge this week, but that's painful.
It's easy.
It's easy.
It's not.
It's painful.
It's 20 minutes.
I would
It's
have
20
gone with
minutes
an
of the
arch
command line.
challenge.
See,
but-
okay, so here's the thing. There's this guy. There's this guy on YouTube called DistroTube, and he makes videos, and he makes a Arch install video, and he goes through, and it's about 20 minutes long, and he goes through the whole thing, and it's great. It just works perfect for him. And he has one issue where he just goes around it. Oh, don't worry about that. That's no big deal. We don't have to worry about that. And then when you try it yourself,
it's all in the wiki.
You get all kinds of errors that just never come up in them tutorials. And I looked at okay, so it was my I don't know, second, third, fourth, fifth attempt, but my first in a long time of trying to install Arch on this laptop. And yeah, I started watching your video, going along with it, Derek, and I had the Arch Wiki open, and I'm there going along, and then all of a sudden, we come to the second line, I think it was, where the network, where we ping, and of course I got no network. So I go to the networking issues, and then I don't have it plugged into an Ethernet. I got the Wi-Fi card in it. And ArchWiki has, setting up your Wi-Fi on.
It does.
So I go and I start typing in the commands that do this, and it's not finding the same information that's on the ArchWiki. It's finding different stuff. So I'm like, it took me 15 minutes with the Wi-Fi issues to find out that, you know what, I got better things to do. So.
Yeah, but my experience is you get the Wi-Fi installed, you finish the installation, then you log back into Arch and your Wi-Fi is not working.
And that's it.
And then it's an absolute headache to try and get it working again.
You have to enable it.
You have to enable it with systemd. Yeah, it's a command to enter.
So
Rocco,
one day,
the other
Derek,
thing,
go ahead, Silent.
if you I know you don't like doing it, but it works if you are patient at the install section, is to do Antergos Plasma, because now they have done Dolphin -root and Kate -root that you can swap out for the
Nice.
default, and you have root access back.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're in the repos.
See, now I need to find out how they did it so we can get it in other things.
They patched them basically and then packaged them, and they've put them in the repos, so you can download Dolphin -root and Kate -root and just swap them out with the defaults.
Nice. Nice.
So I'm a happy bunny.
Speaking of Dolphin.
Somebody said his name and he's just popped up.
Well, Mark says quitters never win, winners never quit. It's not about being a quitter. There's just certain things, life kicks in and you got things to do. You have a certain amount of time to sit down and do things. And, I don't have that amount of time to sit there for an hour trying to fix Wi-Fi on an Arch install.
You know what?
Because it's not as simple as for somebody with more technical expertise. Maybe if Derek was sitting in front of this laptop and he could go through it and he could say, "Oh yeah, you just type this in."
It's not technical expertise. It's just you've never done it before. Once you've done it that first time, set it up and got it working, you can install it again next week and it'll be perfect. It's just one of those things. Now every time I install Arch, I know the mistakes I made in the past, so it gets easier.
So Derek, we need to do a live stream of installing Arch together.
I actually
did walk me through that.
Yeah, I did a live stream one time installing Arch on a live stream. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, we could do that.
I think I'm going to do Arch instead of Pop! OS myself.
That's not an option, Tyler. No, you can do whatever you want, man.
For me, GNOME is GNOME, and
when's the last time you tried Pop! OS, Tyler?
Oh God, probably about a few months ago, and I found its default shortcuts to be a bit odd. And
what do you mean default shortcuts?
Instead of like Control-Alt-Arrow for moving between the desktops, I'll do Super Arrow, which would basically make it unusable on one of my keyboards. But you get old Model M.
Oh yeah, you got the great keyboards from the past.
Now I need to know: are we sticking with Pop! OS because the ISO has downloaded and I've got the stick out? So
we are sticking with Pop! OS.
All right, okay.
DT's already moving.
It's
I'm
gonna
going
be
to
like
be on
good
Pop.
old times.
I'm going to be on Pop OS before this ends tonight. So.
He'll be back in a minute.
I'm just wondering, Tyler, why is it a problem with the super key? Do you use that for something else, or?
No, what I'm saying is if I had my Model M hooked up, I don't have a super key.
Right.
He uses antiquated keyboards.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Model M
How dare
existed
you.
before the super key did.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks
There's
a lot,
Michael
Windows.
Tennell.
You know, we all sit here and
TouchDigital.com.
we start moving to 64 bit, and he still doesn't have a super key.
Dolphin, you're a bit low. Your sound's a bit low.
New install, I'll take care of it.
It's better.
But you can change
New install of what?
Oh, I had to redo MX
Oh, okay, all right.
because I tried to install Pantheon on it.
Oh,
That was a stint into misery.
painful.
That was bad.
It hosed the system well enough that I decided just to reinstall.
Yeah.
GNOME runs really well on MX, I must say. I've got GNOME running on MX. It runs really well.
Yeah, I had GNOME on there too, and then I said, "Hey, Pantheon's almost like GNOME. I'll throw that on there."
So why do you think that is? Like, why? What do you think happened? They just don't have the repositories, or what?
Okay, well, someone tell me if the audio is better.
Yeah, it's still a little low, but it's better.
Could
All
come
right,
up a
hold on
bit more.
second. Let's see.
They're messing with me. Their sound.
I don't know. We'll crank it up here.
It's good. It's fine.
It's fine.
So I don't know what the problem was. There was a unofficial set of repositories for it, and it seemed to install okay. I got all the dependencies and everything, and then I think maybe our system V setup kind of played crazy with it, but I wasn't real concerned because we got system D. It was going to work fine. And then that was it. Nope. Sorry. No. I mean, I could have probably untangled it, but it was probably with the snapshots on MX, it took me 10 minutes to get back up and running the other way. But tricky things like Zoom audio, I lost that. So I don't know what the problem is with the Debian packages from that, other than that they're probably closer to Ubuntu packages than Debian.
All right, so you didn't happen to try Fedora this week, did you?
No.
Okay. Michael, did you try Fedora this week?
Not this week.
Tried last week?
Technically, no.
Wait, I don't understand that. Technically, no.
If you ask me the question of just Fedora in general, yes, I have tried Fedora. If you're talking about specifically 29, no, I have not.
Okay, all right. Well, we not only tried Fedora this week, we tried Fedora Core 1 last week.
Yeah.
In the after show. You guys should have seen that. Oh, man. Rocket gave us a link. I think it was you, Rocket, wasn't it? Yeah, you gave us a link for Fedora Core 1, and we downloaded it, and we were trying to get this thing installed. Like, a couple of us were trying to be the first one to get it installed, and Popey was actually the first one to get it installed, so he shared his screen.
I guarantee he cheated. He probably used one of his old ancient hardware and just like
we watched it.
He shared his screen, dude.
It was on screen.
It was pretty cool.
Okay, it was pretty awesome.
And then, yeah, he went on to their IRC and said, "Where can I get support for this?"
And then he realized, he goes, "I shouldn't have done that because there's too many people that know me in there."
Yep.
The best part was him printing from.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It found a monitored printer.
Nice.
Yeah. He says, "Let me go downstairs and see if it actually printed." And he came back up, showed us the test page that it had printed.
Nice.
And we linked those drivers to Elementary so they could get their stuff.
Nice. I guess what I was saying is I would have cheated.
Speaking of Elementary and Fedora, for some reason, when I tried to install the Light DM package in Fedora, it pulled down the Elementary greeters, the Elementary wallpapers, and a bunch of other stuff. It's really bizarre.
Wow.
So it eventually tried to convert your entire system to being Elementary.
Fedora on a Fedora, Elementary on Fedora base, I guess.
Well, that's what I happen to be running right now because I've been running Manjaro XFCE, the 18 version, and it's been running great. I've had no issues. An hour before the stream, I tested everything, including Zoom, and I was going to run the stream on Manjaro, and then like it was quarter of, and I decided to start setting it up, and Zoom was just a black screen and freezing, and it was just giving me all kinds of issues. So I had to boot into elementary just to get the stream going. So
I just wonder whether that guy on the Fedora IRC chat is watching, because he did tell Popey that was Fedora 1 EOL 14 years ago. Just saying.
It was a good time last week after the show. It really
was a good time. Yeah.
There was a lot of laughing going on, but
nice.
So
Well, the best
Michael,
part was what, like 3 o'clock in the morning where he was at too, and he was so tuned in and laughing. It was,
yep,
just a little bit punch drunk.
Yep, we went through the setup process of the printer and everything. Like I said, he was sharing his screen. It was hilarious.
Nice.
There was good stuff installed there. Yeah.
Did you notice if he had an XP printer or not? HP, I mean.
It was an HP, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Of course it was. That's the only way it would work. I knew you cheated.
It was the wrong printer. He told it what? It was like an HP 5 or something like that.
HP 5.
That's what he told the software it was, but that's not what he actually has.
Yeah, but it still printed just fine.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And what version was it? What version of Firefox was it?
Oh, geez,
Back then, it was probably a,
Nothing would load. It was all that really wonky.
It actually was.
it's probably a 4.5.
It was.
No, it was Mozilla.
It was like 24.
Oh, okay,
It
yeah,
looked like Netscape almost.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was right after they switched.
So, Michael, what's going on?
I'm just recouping from my 4-hour-long stream.
Yeah, 4 hours he was on.
And I missed
man's a
most of
machine.
it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was a long stream.
Yeah,
I saw your note that you were going live and said, "Well, I got to go deliver popcorn and do a few other things. I'll come back." I said, "Well, he'll be off," and there you were, still on. I said, "Okay, so I gotta. Oh, here's some more popcorn I gotta deliver. I'll be back." And I came back, and you were still going. It was at one point. I think I listened to you for like 15 minutes, and he said, "Well, okay, back to the show." And
I got sidetracked quite a few times. There was at one point, I think it was like an hour and a half in, I was like, okay, I got to get going. I've only done like 4 topics.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Michael for becoming one of the rotating co-hosts on Floss Weekly.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
oh, very nice.
Oh, congratulations.
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 I'll be the co-host next week.
Yep.
Nice.
Well,
Awesome sauce.
I saw the interview for you with them, and then we were talking in Telegram, and but it was Wendy. You said something about it, and it was the most interesting Floss Weekly that they've had.
Yeah.
I'm not saying nothing about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's a lot
he
of
told
things.
me that I may not like some of the other ones.
I'm just
Right.
no. All I said was that there were there. It depends on the topic and the subject because most of their episodes are interviews. So if you aren't interested in a particular topic, you might not be interested in the episodes.
Right.
Because
So what he was
that's
saying
all I
was
said.
they're boring.
That is
without
not
him
what
on
I
it.
said.
They
That
can
might be
be.
what you inferred, but that's not what I said. And it is true. Not if your podcast is only interviews most of the time, there's going to be times where people are going to have like topics that are interesting to only a certain subset.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they're like on Destination Linux, like we had interviews, and some of them got to be 2.5 hours long. And if you're not interested in that person or that distro that they're working on, then yeah, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and the next week for Floss Weekly, the reason I'm actually co-hosting is because the person they're interviewing is about a project that I've been using for a couple of years and am a fan of. So it just happened to be perfectly fitting.
So
Which
it's
is?
just a
Oh,
YouTube
Invoice
channel.
Ninja.
What is it?
Oh, nice.
Invoice Ninja.
Yeah, I've been talking about Invoice Ninja for a while, and I've actually did some contributions to them as well. It's a fantastic project, and it's surprisingly professional for something that's open source as well.
Forgive me for never hearing about it.
How
What
dare
is
you?
this again?
Invoice Ninja. It's a open source self-hosted invoicing platform.
Okay.
It also does more than that. It's also got product inventory and task system and all kinds of stuff. So it's like the name was originally just for invoicing, and then they just converted it into like a suite of tools.
Nice.
Nice.
All right. Ubuntu 1904 got its release dates. Well, I mean, they're already set in stone like beforehand, but the feature freeze is February 21st. UI freeze is March 14th. Kernel freeze is April 1st. But I was reading somewhere else where it said that feature freeze was earlier than that. And I don't, is the date in November? Am I missing something or what?
No, the feature freeze is always at most 2 months ahead of time. Like
I could have swore I was reading somewhere where it said November, because I'm shocked. I'm like reading it and I'm like, November, like that's like now, that's like a few weeks. Like it was like November 28th or something like that, I think it said.
Yeah,
And I'm like, it can't be, because that's like way, like, my gosh.
They barely had anything to do at that point.
Right. So,
yeah, it's just been opened up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like they started the actual process like last week.
Right. I'll have to find where I saw that, because I know I wasn't seeing things, but that was weird to me.
They might have been confusing like when the release date for Linux Mint's coming. No, it's not even November. That's in December mid. Never mind. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, the feature freeze. I mean, all those dates are tentatively scheduled. Like they will probably change at some point. Like at least the feature freeze might change a couple days or so.
Yeah.
But
hey,
so when did the go ahead, Dolphin?
Never mind. Go ahead.
When did the alphas and betas start coming out?
The alphas do not come out. They are done forever. Forever.
Okay, when does the beta come out?
Oh, roughly about a month ahead of the release. Actually, no, more like 3 to 4 weeks, like around that range.
Yeah.
So they'll probably change it. They'll probably change all the dates. But if they do change the dates, it'll be like a day or two change. It's not going to be like a big difference. And they'll probably solidify the dates in January.
So we got a long way before we even get a beta.
Yeah, they won't do the alphas because they're no longer making those alphas. They completely changed their development release model. And it's the only ones that will ever have alphas are going to be the LTSs. And those won't really have like the same set of alphas like they used to. It won't be like an alpha, then an alpha 2, then a beta 2, and et cetera, et cetera. They won't do that. It'll just be like an alpha, then a beta, then a release.
Yeah, and they'll have daily
beta.
They'll have dailies.
Yeah, they'll have a daily. They still have dailies for that. Yeah, right. Their working on more of a rolling collaborative development structure for the daily builds, and then they snapshot it as a beta and then release it. That way they don't have to worry about like constantly getting test builds and everything ready to go for the alpha testing and all this other stuff. So it's actually something kind of interesting because the flavors really the only ones who participated in that stuff. Like the Ubuntu's official flavor only participated in the betas and never participated in the alphas. But most people weren't aware of that because they kept promoting the alphas for the flavors. But most of the time, Ubuntu wasn't even included.
Let's talk about that name. Disco Dingo.
The best ever.
That is the weirdest code name I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I love it.
Think of the logo opportunities, though, for Disco Dingo. I mean, you can put a coyote in a white jumpsuit and go to town. I mean,
right?
It sells itself.
I mean, the 80s are making a comeback.
How about all the icons on the menu have the disco ball effect? What do you think? Come on.
Please no. Mike.
What if instead of a rotating like hourglass, it was a disco ball that shined?
You got it.
This sounds a lot like Mac OS's rotating beach ball of death.
Yes, fantastic. Except it's a disco ball, which is better.
Of life.
And every time when your applications are freezing and they refuse to be closed, it would just constantly start playing "Staying Alive."
That's exactly what I was thinking. We change out that Ubuntu thing with the you know.
I see this going all way wrong with a male dingo and shining balls spinning.
Derek, you're a John Travolta guy, right?
Silver lame suit, a dingo in a silver lame suit.
Guy's in the gutter, man. Come on. Disco.
We resemble that remark.
Disco will never die.
Unfortunately.
Just look at the popularity of ABBA today. I mean, that alone.
Yeah, that's true.
You know they're making a comeback, right?
They are.
Yeah, they are.
ABBA never
They're-
left, man.
They are. They are actually
Mamma
making
Mia
a,
2 just came out.
Yeah, they're going to do a new tour thing. Yeah, even today.
I would like to point out that I did actually call the dingo choice in May, so there's that.
Well, considering they did beaver, yeah, we could all expected dingo. They're trying to do these kind of
I chose
suggestive...
dingo just for the joke, and it happened to be right.
Right. No.
What happens when they run out of animals?
They will
They
never
never run out of
animals.
animals.
Yeah,
Never.
They'll just
Really?
yeah, because they'll just start using mythical creatures. They'll get to G and start doing Griffin.
Mythical creatures.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of animals out there. They're not even close to running out yet. So.
Yeah,
And then
Australia
there's-
alone's got a whole host of weird ones no one else has. So we're good for a while.
If they get to Q again and don't call it Quokka, I will be incredibly furious.
Quokka?
It has to be a Quokka. I was mad the first time, but the second time, how dare you?
The real question is, are they going to run out of adjectives?
Ooh, that's a good one.
No,
I mean,
because those they can just make up.
Yeah, since they went to disco, I don't think they care about what the adjective is anymore.
Yeah. They just want the alliteration. They just want something that sounds interesting, like cosmic and bionic, and now disco. Something
Look at Derek
Still something you
installing
can't
Pop
forget.
OS.
You're going to know and remember the name.
This is true.
That's
Where were
true.
you when disco?
It's embedded in the brain.
And when they
How's
run
it
out of
possible?
adjectives, they'll just switch over to adverbs anyway.
So when we get to Ubuntu T, are we going to see Tardy Tunnel?
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go.
I will actually sign the petition for that. Yes, let's do it.
Would that be coming after the quick quaddle?
It would, but it better be Quokka. It better
Quokka. Quick quokka.
be for sure.
All right. Has anybody seen the decks for with Ubuntu on it for Samsung
Yes,
phones?
of course.
Yes.
It's the
I got
best
an email.
thing I will never purchase at all.
Why?
That's expensive.
That's
I
expensive.
actually-
The phone, or the decks?
The combination
Yeah.
of both. Like I
Yes.
think what they're doing with it is awesome, and I want to do it, but not at that price.
Well, I got the phone already, so the decks. I was hoping Zeb was going to be here tonight because I'm pretty sure he has it.
He's sick.
Yes.
Ugh.
So,
But that looks so awesome, and I would love to try that.
I actually got an email from them asking me to try a beta version of their decks. And I'm like, look, guys, I'd love to, but there's one problem. Your beta requires me to be running Android 9 on a Galaxy S9 or Galaxy Tab S4. I have a Galaxy J3. I don't even have USB-C, boy. Come on.
Right.
Send me
Well,
an
that's the
info and I'll
thing.
do it.
You got to have an S9, and I have the S8 Plus, so it's not gonna.
It's still
I couldn't
what I
get
got.
into it, but it.
I think they
looks
actually
so
made it the
awesome.
Note 9.
Based on the email that I got, it said explicitly S9. It didn't even specify Plus. It was just S9.
I mean, I know the Note is also one of them because I know people who are using it. So the cost of the phone is like what, $900 or something, like $800.
About that, yeah.
And the Dex is like what, $500 or something, $400.
No, I thought the Dex was like 120.
Here's the thing: on the tablet, you don't need a Dex. You don't need a
Might have
Dex
been
on
the
the tablet. You can literally just get a USB-C to HDMI adapter for the tablet, and you're perfectly fine. Which means like $20, which is great.
Yeah, but then you have to have that tablet, and who uses tablets?
Right?
I do.
There's no
Well,
keyboard.
their
on the
tablets
tablet.
ain't their
Obviously.
tablets ain't cheap either. So
Here's the thing, though. If you have a tablet with USB-C, or there is actually one tablet I have found, and Gideon has seen it because I have it, that has a full USB-A port. You can plug in a keyboard, and you essentially have an Android laptop with a touchscreen.
Gideon just said fake news.
Yep.
Actually, no. Gideon, you have seen my tablet with full USB-A port. You remember this. And it's the weirdest thing. But it's so cool.
Yeah, they also make
Here's
dongles you can
Rocco
plug
getting
in.
Gideon in trouble.
I just start in trouble. That's all. What I do.
Well, I get him in trouble all the time.
And Michael, I'm sorry, but a tablet fits much better into a semi than a desktop.
That's fair, but also a laptop would be better than a desktop. So, I mean,
I've got a little 6-inch square cube in the back room.
I mean, I like tablets. I'm not
Just
against
fine.
them.
They have their use cases. They're great for extremely mobile computing, where you need.
I think it'd be ridiculous to say I'm against tablets or whatever.
Yeah.
I just hate that mine's stuck on Android.
What's that, Gideon?
I'm looking at the decks right now, and their full-blown station is 101.94, and they have a smaller version that's just 72.49. So
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they were.
It was.
So
I
the
thought
total
they were 100.
cost plus the HDMI cable, $1,000.
Right.
Well, no, I think the S9s are $999 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so $1,200, give or take.
I think this is only valid if you planned on getting the phone anyway. This is just kind of an extra thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
No one's, if you're going to get it just for the Linux stuff, I mean, you're
No, nobody would do that.
Yeah.
That'd be ridiculous.
What you could do is
Nobody would do that.
Chicken would.
Chicken would.
Chicken would.
He's already got it on pre-order. He's
He had a Samsung, didn't he? Yeah, he bought a Samsung S9.
He did it on Biddle.
Yeah.
What you could
Didn't
do. Go ahead.
Didn't Joe Collins do a video on Samsung decks? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. He might have.
A little while ago, I'm pretty sure he did.
No, but you're right, Adam. I bring it up only because I already have a Samsung, so it interests me. But no, you're not going to just go out and buy a Samsung $1,000 phone just because.
I'm going to throw my Pixel 2 in the trash and
yeah,
switch right over.
What's really cool is that I was told that you could load the desktop with Ubuntu, and then while you're using that, you can actually activate the apps from your phone onto the desktop and use them at the same time from like your microphone for like the voice calls and stuff. So you could use like your full microphone for a phone call.
Is it using Anbox for that?
No.
No, so it's straight Android. It's not.
Yeah,
not
it's using the Dex like combination thing. So it's just basically it's translating the stuff from the Android side of the phone and sending it to the desktop.
That's cool.
Yeah, like that makes me tempted to kind of do it, but like, not that tempted.
I could see somebody using Dex to convert someone to Linux by like, oh hey, you have an S9. Hey, check this out. And then eventually just being like, yo, I want this on my actual computer. Can you install Linux for me?
Quite possibly. There's a especially people who are like business owners. They just want all their information in the desktop in their one device. Like that could be a bonus for them.
I'm probably going to try using that method to talk my mother, who's a Windows fangirl, into using Linux. Because I've been trying to do that for the past 3 years and I have not been successful yet.
My thing is the easiest way to do it was my favorite thing with family is if they mess up their computer and they try to get you to fix it, I give them the rule. If it breaks once, I'll fix it. Breaks again, good luck. Or use Linux.
Harsh. Or use
Linux
to invoice them.
Exactly. That's a good point.
What happens if they use Linux and they break it more than once?
It's never happened.
Yeah, my in-laws
I've given people, they get Linux and it's fine.
Yeah.
Like I've given people multiple times that thing has worked where they'll just say, I don't care what it is, just let me just fix the computer. Then I give it to them and they're like, oh, right, I do Linux. I actually get people who forget they're using Linux.
What happens if they're related to me and they break
best
things?
of luck. Best of luck.
I just nuked Windows off that. It was a great feeling. someone at work, they said, so slow with Windows, they've had enough. His missus had enough. Said, bring it in, I'll put Linux Mint on there because he's got Linux Mint on another device. So hopefully she enjoys it.
Nice.
I installed Linux Mint on my dad's laptop specifically because I know if I didn't, he would get a virus. So, yes, that's exactly the reason I did it. That and because I knew that if he has an issue, I can go in and fix it. Because I have not used Windows enough in the past 5 years to be able to do tech support for it. I have a hard time doing much of anything on Windows now other than the basic stuff because of how often I use Linux. I refuse to use Windows because it's a piece of trash.
I just, whenever people need me to fix their Windows machines, I fix it. But with Windows 10, there's an option to disallow installing anything outside of the store. So that typically stops them from installing just random crap from the web.
There's DT from Pop OS.
Yeah, hi.
So I've got a question on
off.
With Thunderbird on Windows. That they have the little backup file for Thunderbird in a coded folder. You can take all that stuff and put it into the Thunderbird in Linux, but it's got an error that comes up with a lightning error. Does anyone know what lightning is? I'm not
Lightning
quite sure.
is the calendar add-on.
Oh, so just ignore that, yeah. It's
just delete it. And
okay. All right,
I think Lightning has been added to if it's a recent install. I think Lightning has been added to a default add-on.
It is, yeah, it's integrated with the Windows Thunderbird, but a lot of Linux distributions still package it without it in there. Like Debian, it's a separate package. We pull it in, but Lightning's a separate deb package.
Right. Okay.
But it's a pretty good thing.
Anybody using the dark theme on Thunderbird?
No.
Wait, people still use Thunderbird?
I use Thunderbird.
Oh my!
Thunderbird is
Thunderbird every day.
Thunderbird is awesome.
What
I
do you
use
use,
Dark
Adam?
Theme on everything. I just don't use Thunderbird.
I just use Inbox, the web page.
Oh, did you hear that Google's killing Inbox?
Yeah, I've
yes,
I've
they are.
contemplated the rest of my life after hearing that.
Right, I know. The same thing happened to me when I heard about Google Plus.
Well,
yeah, Google Plus, Google Inbox, Google Hello, all of these great apps are just disappearing.
Yeah, Inbox is actually made me enjoy to a certain extent using my email. And when I checked out the latest Gmail interface, I'm like, well, now maybe Thunderbird ain't so bad.
That's right. The only reason that I use any email client is I use Evolution. And the reason I use it is because I can connect my Gmail accounts to it, and my Google Calendar events show up in the little calendar drop-down thing in the notifications area in Gnome, which is extremely nice.
I can't figure out how to use Evolution.
It's a little bit wonky. You got to go digging through settings for a while. That's exactly how I learned how to use it, and I still don't ever use it.
You have to have experienced the pain of using Outlook, and then all of this makes sense to you.
I don't have that. I don't have any experience with Outlook.
I do.
Yeah, well, you have experience with Evolution, so you're close.
I'm part of the generation where we never used an email client. We went straight to using the web client.
Yeah, I at work I have to use Outlook, so
yeah, same
here. Yeah.
I used to use
Outlook. Same. I've got to use Outlook at work on Windows.
Yeah, it's more of a forced work thing most of the time.
Absolutely.
It's rare people choose Outlook.
Yeah, you're going to use it and going to like it.
And I got to support it. So whenever somebody asks me a question like, how do I do this in Outlook? And I'm like, give me just a second to figure that out myself.
Yeah, the group of people who enjoy Outlook and the group of people who chew their own arm off overlap quite a bit.
We use Outlook at my current place of employ. The old place I use Thunderbird, and I could have 4 accounts. And I know Rocco's got more than that because he's mentioned.
I've got a question.
But I've had 6,000 emails in my inbox, and the text search in it was just so much better than Outlook's. It still makes me weep, and I have far fewer emails. I mean, the cure for my email inbox overload was to change jobs, just not give the new email address.
That solves it.
I'm down to like 4 emails a week. I mean, it's
Hold on
pretty
now.
good.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I've got Linux Mint and Peppermint OS on my HP laptop, but I can't get Wi-Fi to work on any of them. On Peppermint, not even USB Ethernet.
You got a physical network? What network or wireless? You're talking about?
I can't get wireless to work. Like on
You got a
Peppermint, I
physical
can't even
switch?
get USB Ethernet to work.
Have you got a physical switch to turn on network wireless on and off? No. What about the button on the laptop to turn it on and off with the function key, maybe?
Yeah, an FN and whatever. FN
on, let me
and
go
one of
grab
the XPs usually. If that doesn't work, Noah, look for a package called RF Kill, and in the command line, you do sudo RF Kill unblock all.
You know what? He has a point, though. My mom had a situation about a month ago on one of her laptops. She wanted me to wipe out Windows, install Linux. The Wi-Fi didn't work with Linux Mint, oddly enough. But you know what did? Out of the box, MX just worked perfectly on that machine. She's happy with MX. So thank you.
Broadcom drivers.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, that's what I do.
Must be, eh?
Broadcom driver.
Hold on, let me boot my laptop into Linux and let me see.
We do a little
Because I have-
magic with the Broadcom drivers.
Yeah.
I have it dual booted.
I was impressed, actually.
I have it dual booted with Ubuntu Studio, Peppermint 9, Linux Mint 19, LMD 3, and Linux Mint 18.3.
Yeah,
So
I'm just
I
going to
have-
keep a USB stick of MX with me from now on when people want a Linux install. So.
Well, that's what I do. Our chooser, when it boots up the first time, actually tries to figure out what your Broadcom part is and choose either the open source drivers or the closed source drivers, depending on.
Yeah,
depending on.
I'll approach it as well, Dolphin.
Any luck, Noah?
There is no button to turn on Wi-Fi, not even on the function keys on my laptop. It's all done through the software.
Normally it's around about F12 or something like that is your wireless, around roughly there.
I know F12 is airplane mode.
What kind of
okay.
laptop?
Airplane mode would be bad. Yeah.
What is the laptop model?
It's an HP. I don't remember the model. Let me see.
Look on the bottom.
I'm trying to. What do you think the model sticker will be?
On the bottom.
Yeah.
On the bottom, it'll literally list off like some weird serial number thing. It'll say like HP, like AP7DF, something like that. It may not say something exactly like that, but it'll be a list of letters and numbers.
Yeah, but definitely don't get the serial.
Yeah,
Let me
not
see.
that. The serial will say like S/N and then a colon and then
Yeah, just don't give that out.
Normally it starts with the size of the screen, like a 15 or 17 or something like that. Normally.
You had insurance.
It's the model 15-BS113DX.
For a grown man.
Say it again. DS113
He's not contacting me. I figured.
Hold on.
DX.
Went to her house to pick up the phone.
It's model 15-BS113DX.
How many people save the addresses of all the cars that they test drive? I test driven more cars before that.
Right. Let the fingers do the talking.
Wrong.
Everybody's on Google.
Yep. Everybody's trying to figure it out.
DuckDuckGo. Thank you very much.
I think it's a Realtek or a Raylink Wi-Fi. My mom had one of those, but it's a USB one. But I found a post on the Linux Mint forums, and they say that there's a GitHub page, so you would have to connect it to Ethernet, or to get it hardwired to the internet. Then you'd have to install the build essentials, DKMS, Git, all that stuff, clone the Git repo, and then build it from source.
How many cars have you had?
Yeah, on Peppermint OS 9, it don't even work with USB Ethernet through my phone.
It's just at the point where it was time to get rid of. So we figured
Interesting.
a great time to get someone a convertible for the summer.
Well,
HP is not super friendly.
I can post the Linux Mint forum in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Rocco, I have a couple of issues with Pop OS. Maybe you
Yeah.
do.
What's
so
the issues?
YouTube, when I went to your YouTube video, nothing shows. It says this video format is unavailable on your system. How can I watch YouTube on Pop OS? Also, why is Control-Alt-T not bringing up a terminal when I hit it? What's up with that?
Distro 2, try Alt Control T.
Control T.
Wow, laid it down.
Try Super T on that. After all,
Both of them work with me.
Super.
Yeah.
I don't know about the terminal, dude. As far as watching videos, you just, I don't know. What's wrong with it? Why won't your system run?
It's just a black hole, and it's got a little error message that says this video format is unsupported, unavailable.
Yeah, you have to have the restricted extras installed because it requires the H.264 codec to watch live streams.
And Pop OS doesn't install that by default. It's an Ubuntu-based distro. Come on.
I don't think Ubuntu installs it by default.
No, Ubuntu
yeah, but
doesn't.
you have the option during the install. It didn't even ask me about that.
Oh, it didn't give you the option.
That's weird.
Unless I missed it, it didn't offer me the option. Yeah.
Wow, that's no good.
No.
Scott, you said about the hyperlink for Pop OS.
Yeah, it was just because I didn't want to be given the wrong information. So the system76.com/pop, opened it up in Google Chrome and Chromium, and none of the hyperlinking is working, not even a right-click menu. So I just went over to Mozilla Firefox and opened that one up, and it is working in Firefox just fine. Has anybody else run into that?
That's fine for me.
Don't know. I'm gonna try it.
I use
That's
Firefox.
really odd. Yeah, I'd normally use Firefox, but I just happen to have Chrome and Chromium open both at the same time, and weirdly enough, they're not working as hyperlinks, not even the menus.
It's probably because Chrome is using too much of your RAM.
I have 32 gigs of RAM. Nice try, Michael.
Okay.
Very nice try.
At 32 gigs, Chrome uses too much. You need at least 64 there.
Oh, there you go.
What hyperlinks aren't working?
You got 2 tabs open. That's the problem.
32 gigs of RAM. Are you a GNOME user? Is that why you have all that?
No, I am not a fan of GNOME. No, I just I like to go big or sit on the porch, one of the two.
Well, it works
for me.
seems to work in Qt browser, which uses the same engine. So maybe it's just
working in Chrome.
specific engine.
It's working for me.
I got it in Chromium.
It could be an issue of like you have an extension that's blocking it for some reason.
Could be
Like
Yeah,
probably
I
like a
think that-
JavaScript block or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got this microphone for $35. Actually, it's a really good microphone. It's a Turtle Beach, and it's regularly like $80.
Nice.
I was just telling you, in case you wanted to get a new microphone or anything.
It seems to be working good too.
He's talking to Michael.
I recently got one.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, look there. It's just the same as mine, almost.
Yeah.
I paid $130
Turtle
for this one, and I hate it. Can't stand this microphone.
And see, he was giving. Yeah, see, he was giving me a hard time. His microphone's got 32 gigs of RAM in it.
Exactly.
So, and another thing about my laptop, when it's on, the fan sounds like a literally dinosaur. It sounds really loud, other than any other laptop I've had.
Is it an AMD CPU?
No, it's an Intel.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's just that HPs usually have like really hot running, so they have the fan up really high. But you could probably lower it depending on.
Do you have?
I want to lower this one.
Laptop.
From when I got it, it was really quiet when I got it, but now it's like.
Check and make sure you have thermal deinstalled, and then if you don't, open it up and make sure you have all the dust cleaned out.
If it's an HP, the fan's probably going out. That happens a lot with HPs.
Hey, at least clean out all the dust. It never hurts for any laptop.
Right. I've
Just
run
like
into
regularly open it up.
Yeah, I've run into some pro books that where the fan, despite the temperature being pretty low, will just keep on running at max speed. And I've had users complain about that in the past.
I mean, it's
Did
not a
anybody hear
terrible
about?
bad thing.
Did anybody hear about the new MacBook Air that came out?
The one that's not actually as light as it's supposed to be, because the fact that the MacBook Airline is supposed to be the lightest MacBook they make, and yet this one is like the middle ground, and the actual MacBook is the lightest.
I had no idea, but I was just talking about the new one that came out a few days ago.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Like,
I don't think the
literally,
air refers to its weight. I think the air refers to its design.
it used to refer to its weight. Unbox Therapy actually did a video on it, and they discussed how MacBook Airs, the first one was the lightest of the MacBook lineup, and now it's the middle ground. It's, I think they said 2 pounds heavier than the normal MacBook and a pound lighter than the MacBook Pro.
Yeah, I don't think that actually is what it doesn't matter. Like, I think that they're making a mountain out of a molehill. It doesn't. They don't care about the weight. They care about the design and the thinness and the ultra.
With MacBooks, that's gonna be their main thing, but still.
On my Linux Mint main production computer, which I'm on right now, has, I'm pretty sure, about 5 to 10 desktop environments on there.
That's a lot.
Noah, you should check out the chat, because there's a couple people that have offered suggestions on adding lines to configs and a couple drivers for you. You check out the links and stuff.
Question: How much did you pay for that? I'm talking to Noah here. How much did you pay for that laptop? I'm just curious.
It was, I got it the night my Dell laptop broke, and I'm pretty sure it was around like $400.
Yeah.
I think the top was like 500. Pretty sure. It's a pretty good laptop. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I'm pretty sure Intel Core i3. Yeah, that's all I know. And a 15.6-inch display. That's all I know. And it's touchscreen.
Because I just, you're having video issues, like that's the problem. I'm just feel like maybe it's just it's the fact that it's a $400 laptop that's the problem, not anything specific.
No, I'm having Wi-Fi issues on Linux.
Oh, Wi-Fi, right.
Noah, you said you had airplane mode. Did you check to make sure that's not turned on or off? Because I just put a link in the Zoom chat to a user manual on page 12, and it specifically puts out a note that says airplane mode also is referred to as the wireless button.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so you have to use.
Turn on airplane mode. It just turns on airplane mode. It don't turn off wireless or anything. It just turns on airplane mode and turns off everything.
Yeah, it should turn off.
All the wireless.
Bluetooth. Yeah,
No,
Bluetooth, wireless, everything.
look on the link that I showed you. Go to page 12. It specifically says that note that it's used as a wireless button.
I mean, that makes sense because if airplane mode's on, it's going to disable every wireless, like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's
So-
right.
I don't know how many times I've had people come up to me. They turned airplane mode on by accident because the button is flush with the casing, and it's like, oh, my Wi-Fi is not working. I look at the laptop, like, yep, this is why.
Did you turn it on or off?
This is hilarious. An HP website still uses HTTP, and my Chrome browser says it's not secure. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. We are trying Pop OS for this week's challenge.
I've got another suggestion. Y'all could talk about this. It's like y'all don't have to do it, but I was thinking of trying out the KDE mobile.
You need a device that can support that.
I've got a Galaxy S7 Edge.
not supported.
It's not?
No, because Plasma Mobile is only designed to work on a few devices right now.
Is Ubuntu Touch for that?
Very unlikely.
Okay, I know it's like not supported anymore or anything.
No, it's the UB ports controls Ubuntu Touch. It's a supported system. It's just they're
I'm gonna turn on my
specifically a
camera.
certain. There's certain devices. Phones are a very different thing than x86 machines, like laptops and desktops. You have to make a build for each individual specific phone.
Yeah, I got
not
to,
like a model, but like that. The overall brand and model has to be made a specific ROM for that phone.
Yep,
I'm gonna
I
turn
got
on-
to play with Gideon's Ubuntu Touch phone at Southeast Linux Fest. That was fun.
Nice.
I'm gonna turn on my camera and show you my Galaxy S7 Edge setup. It's got Nova Launcher on there. It looks a lot like Lineage OS.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like you can't run those ROMs don't exist for that phone.
I know. I'm showing you the thing. Hold on.
I know one thing. I think young Noah here is going to have a very long and very fruitful journey into the world of Linux and open source operating systems, and he sounds very enthusiastic. But I think Rocco was trying to sign off, so there's the phone. But I think we better let Rocco have his show back.
Yep.
Let me enter my password.
Don't do that on camera.
I did. I covered up the camera. See, on screen.
Spoken like a true scoutmaster.
Yeah, well.
Thanks, Dolphin. All right. That's going to wrap it up for us this week. Everybody gets.
Why don't we get?
Everybody gets the last word in. Dan, you're up.
I don't know. I'd like to say I'm looking forward to this week, but not sure. Well, I'll give it a go anyway, though.
You're not looking forward to it, really.
Just not a gnome guy.
Yeah, I didn't. Me neither.
I'll give it a try, though. I'll fair shake.
You're open. You're open.
Yep, I am.
All right, Joe, last word.
Well, it's good to be back for an entire show this time, although last week I did enjoy the after show very much, so I'm glad to be back here. And pop goes the distro.
There you go. All right, Wendy, last word.
I have to say Ubuntu won me over. I started out my Linux journey not really caring for it, and now it seems to be my go-to.
Nice. Very nice. Colin, last word.
OS for the win.
So many puns. Thomas, last word.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. Had fun as always. Sorry I didn't make a visual appearance because I don't have my tray as always. So, yeah, don't want to wobble y'all to death. Draugr OS 7.4.1 Beta 1 coming out Thursday.
Nice.
Yay.
Nice. Derek, last word.
Yeah, Pop OS. I'm looking forward to it. The install went great, other than it didn't install the Ubuntu restricted extras. At least I had to do it.
Was that user error, Derek?
It might have been, but I mean, I went through the install fast, but I didn't see anything like that in the install, or maybe it was there.
It's a loose nut between the seat and the keyboard.
It could be. it could be. Plus, I had a beer. One beer.
Yeah.
Inebriated.
Anyway, thanks for having me, Rocco.
Yep. Adam, last word.
Looking forward to trying out Pop OS. I don't understand all the GNOME hate, but hey, we'll give it a shot. And maybe if just fix my mixed DPI problem, I just got to buy a second 4K monitor. So
maybe Pop OS will fix it.
There you go.
Maybe.
Dave.
Congratulations, Michael. Thank you, Rocco, and see you all next week.
Christopher, last word.
Well, thanks for having me. I just tried, after VirtualBox was finished compiling, I tried the videos, and that didn't work, so that's another minus for GNOME, Fedora GNOME. Don't use it. But I'm trying Pop! OS, and it's looking okay right now. So yeah, thanks for having me. I hope. Thanks for having me. It's nice having these chats every week or so. Don't forget to push the like button and subscribe, I guess. Shouldn't be showing for your channel, but whatever. Thanks anyway. Bye.
Thanks, man. Tyler, last word.
Enjoyed being on the show yet again. I will be installing Arch on my Galago Pro, and I'll be back next week.
Nice. Climby, last word.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm kind of glad to get off Fedora for the time being. But yeah, looking forward to Pop! OS. I've heard a few times that it's GNOME done right, so we'll see, because I'm, after using GNOME for a while, kind of getting a little sick of it, but still, give me GNOME over Pantheon any day.
Wow. Okay. Still the elementary hate going on. Scott, last word.
Oh, well, I want to thank everybody on Rocco's behalf that donated today. It was wonderful. Everybody might not like this, but I'm going to say Fedora is useful, and it's pretty good. And I think if somebody wanted to keep it simple, they might like it. I think I'm going to go ahead and install it on a really old laptop and take it out to the garden gnomes out front and let them play with it. And looking forward to the popularity of OS next week.
Wow.
Oh my God. You people and your puns.
That was well done.
Kim, last word.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. Well, I'm running Pop! OS on my iMac here, so that's not really a challenge. But
Head of the game.
I'm looking forward to hear your opinion about it. I've been running Pop! OS for a couple of months on my iMac, and it's pretty neat.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
All right, Paul, last word.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I wanted to show off my latest build here. I've been building one just so I could do the distro challenges.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I put docks in it. You can see the docks, so I could just switch to hard drives. That way I don't have to run my good systems.
That's
yeah,
what I
thanks,
do.
everybody.
Well, Paul, I'm sorry to say that Pop! OS doesn't offer a KD version, so.
Oh.
Then it's impossible. No one should use it. Just continue. Move on.
I agree.
On Pop! OS. On Pop!
Oh,
OS, you
Noah,
can
hold on.
actually install.
Noah, hold on. Allie, last word.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Sorry I was a bit late, but I'm visiting rallies at the moment, so that's all good. A big shout out to Colin PC TLC there for reviewing my little distro. Top job, mate, seriously.
You're welcome,
hope
mate.
everybody has a good night, and I'll see you all soon.
Thanks for coming, Allie.
Thanks, Ali.
Silent, last word.
Very welcome.
Thank you for having me again. As always, very enjoyable. Always enjoy these chats.
Are you going to enjoy Pop! OS?
I already have it installed, so it's not much of a
Wow.
challenge.
Geez, a few
I just need to
people.
swap drives.
All right, Dolphin, last word.
Debian 9.6 dropped today. For those of you in Debian world, don't read your update prompts carefully, because in a rare move, they've updated Grub. Check out my latest video for more information.
There's some video.
That would be youtube.com/runwiththedolphin.
That would be. And I understand that tuxdigital.com/runwiththedolphin also.
There it is. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Michael, last word.
Tuxdigital.com and Destination Linux had a great episode that's coming out in this week. We also had a big announcement. If you're not aware, check out the latest episode of 95 for that. And I'm curious if how many people decide they're going to join the population.
The population. Michael, go ahead. What was the big announcement?
Oh, we have a fourth host now that has been added to the show, and that's Noah Chalaya from the Ask Noah Show.
That's awesome.
Excellent. Yeah.
That is truly
Good guy.
awesome. All right, now I'm going to unmute Noah. Noah, last word. Noah?
I was gonna say you can actually install the KDE desktop environment on Pop! OS. Just check out Switch to Linux video on Linux Mint KDE. It works on any distro. I tried it on Ubuntu, and it
Just
Awesome.
a final follow up. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
You should never just install Plasma.
Apt install Ubuntu desktop.
Okay, now you need to mute Derek. Yeah, now you need to mute him.
Rocco.
Yeah.
Sorry for accidentally stealing the show. I didn't mean to.
It's not a problem, though. We just need to let everybody have their word. You know what I mean?
Good job, man. Good job.
Future podcast.
Gideon, last word.
It's great to be back, and I'm gonna pop out of here and go to bed soon.
Oh my God.
You don't watch it, I'm gonna pop you a new one.
Carl Schneider.
Pop what you like.
I just wanted to say _you Rocco.
You are the man.
That's good I like it.
That's awesome.
That's excellent.
All right.
Good week.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. My last word is thank you to everybody that donated in the chat. Not necessary, but very much appreciated. Thank you, everybody in here, for showing up and having a great time every week. And I also want to thank all of the veterans today for their service.
Yes.
In all of the armed forces. My dad was one of them, so I want to thank you for that. And join us on the Biddle Telegram group for chat in between, in the middle of the week about what's going on and what issues we're having. Maybe we can even help if you have trouble installing or anything else.
Yep, just pop right in.
Just pop into the Telegram group at t.me/Big Daddy Linux.
You thought I was bad, Rocco, eh? Jeez.
I know.
These
It's
puns
terrible.
are gonna kill me.
All right. We will see you all next week. Everybody have a great
Hey,
week.
guys.
Peace, guys.
Bye.